Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that's in millions of wallets, but can be a hidden financial trap: credit cards. They feel so convenient, right? Just a quick swipe or tap and you're good to go. But what starts as a harmless convenience can quickly spiral into a mountain of debt that feels impossible to climb. Many people don't realize how fast that small balance can grow, turning into a long-term financial burden that affects every part of their life. So, let's dive into why credit card debt is so dangerous and what you can do about it. First, let's look at why credit card debt is so incredibly common. One of the biggest reasons is how easy it is to get a credit card. Banks are practically throwing them at us with promises of easy approval and low introductory rates. They make it seem like free money. Then there's the whole buy now, pay later culture we live in. We see something we want, and the credit card makes it instantly attainable, even if we don't have the cash right now. This is reinforced by rewards programs, cashback, travel points, you name it. We start chasing rewards instead of focusing on the actual cost. On top of that, many of us never received a solid financial education. We weren't taught how compound interest works or how to manage debt effectively, making us easy targets for the credit card industry. Now let's talk about the real killer: high interest rates. Credit cards are famous for having some of the highest annual percentage rates, or APRs, out there. We're talking 20%, 25%, or even higher. Unlike a mortgage or a car loan, this interest isn't simple, it compounds. This means every month, you're charged interest not just on your original balance, but also on the interest that has already built up. It's a snowball effect that works against you. If you only pay the minimum amount due each month, you're barely making a dent in what you actually owe. The majority of your payment is just feeding the interest, while the principal balance stays almost the same. This is how a small purchase can end up costing you double or triple its original price over time. This brings us to the minimum payment trap. It's one of the most deceptive features of a credit card. When you get your statement, the bank highlights that small minimum payment, making it seem like an easy, manageable option. But it's a trap designed to keep you in debt for as long as possible. Let's say you have a $5,000 balance on a card with a 21% APR. If you only pay the minimum, which might be around $100, it could take you over 20 years to pay it off, and you'd end up paying thousands more in interest alone. The minimum payment gives you a false sense of security, making you think you're handling your debt when you're actually just treading water, and the bank is profiting from it month after month. Beyond the financial cost, credit card debt can seriously hurt your credit score. One of the biggest factors in your score is your credit utilization ratio. That's the amount of credit you're using compared to your total available credit. If you have a $10,000 limit and a $9,000 balance, your utilization is 90%, which is extremely high. Lenders see this as a red flag that you're over-reliant on credit and a potential risk. High utilization will drag your score down. Even worse are late payments. Missing a payment by 30 days or more can cause a significant drop in your score that can take years to recover from. A lower credit score means you'll face higher interest rates on future loans for a car or a house, making everything more expensive. It's a vicious cycle. We also have to talk about the psychological effects of debt. Living with a constant financial burden creates a huge amount of stress and anxiety. You might worry about how you'll make your payments, dread phone calls from collectors, or feel guilty about your spending. This constant pressure can affect your sleep, your relationships, and your overall mental health. It can make you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and hopeless, as if you'll never get ahead. This feeling of being trapped can also influence your daily decisions, forcing you to make choices based on fear and scarcity, rather than on what's best for your long-term well-being. If you're feeling this way, please know that you're not alone, and there are resources available to help you manage both the financial and emotional stress. Ultimately, credit card debt limits your life and steals your freedom. When a large portion of your income is going toward paying off high-interest debt, you have less money for everything else. It becomes harder to save for emergencies, invest for retirement, or put money toward your goals like buying a home or starting a business. Lenders will be less likely to approve you for important loans, and landlords might even deny your rental application based on your debt-to-income ratio. Essentially, debt reduces your options, It keeps you tied to a job you might not like because you need the income to service your debt. Financial freedom is about having choices, and credit card debt takes those choices away. So, what are the warning signs that you might be in trouble? One of the biggest red flags is when you start using credit cards to pay for necessities like groceries, gas, or utility bills because you don't have enough cash. This is a sign that you're living beyond your means. Another sign is juggling multiple cards, using one card to pay off another, a strategy often called the credit card shuffle. This is just moving debt around, not solving the problem. And of course, if you consistently find yourself only able to pay the minimum amount due each month, you are firmly in the debt trap. Recognizing these signs early is crucial to taking back control. The good news is, you can escape credit card debt. The first step is to stop digging. Put the credit cards away and commit to not adding any new debt. Next, you need a clear picture of where your money is going. Track your spending meticulously for a month. Once you know where your money goes, you can create a budget and find areas to cut back. Funnel every extra dollar you can find toward your debt. Always pay more than the minimum. Two popular strategies for tackling multiple cards are the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. With the snowball, you pay off the smallest balance first for a quick psychological win. With the avalanche, you target the card with the highest interest rate first, which saves you more money in the long run. Choose the method that motivates you most and stick with it. It's also important to learn how to use credit cards smartly moving forward. They aren't inherently evil. It's the misuse that's dangerous. The healthiest way to use a credit card is to treat it like a debit card. That means only charging what you can afford to pay off in full right now. This allows you to build a positive credit history and earn rewards without ever paying a dime in interest. Always aim to pay your statement balance in full every single month. This simple habit is the key, and when it comes to rewards, use them wisely. Don't let the promise of a few extra points tempt you into making a purchase you weren't already planning to make. So, what's the key takeaway here? Credit cards are a tool. Used correctly, they can be convenient and helpful. But if you're not careful, they can become a weapon of financial self-destruction. Awareness is the first step toward taking control. Understanding how interest works, recognizing the minimum payment trap, and knowing the warning signs empowers you to make better choices. Building debt-free habits isn't just about getting out of a hole. It's about creating a foundation for long-term financial freedom and a life with more choices and less stress. So, let's talk about the psychological side of this. Carrying a heavy debt load isn't just about the numbers. It's a huge mental burden. It creates constant financial stress and anxiety. You're always worried about making payments, about the interest piling up, about that next unexpected expense. It can make you feel completely stuck, like you're trapped in a hole you can't climb out of. This feeling of being overwhelmed can affect your sleep, your relationships, and even your performance at work. Debt can start to dictate your life choices, making you feel like you have no control. Every financial decision, big or small, is filtered through the lens of your debt, and that's an exhausting way to live. This is a serious issue, and if you're feeling this way, it's important to talk to someone. Don't be afraid to seek support from a financial advisor or a mental health professional. Your well-being matters most. This constant stress also has real-world consequences that limit your life. Think about it. Every dollar you send to the credit card company for interest is a dollar you can't put toward your own future. That's less money for building an emergency fund, saving for a down payment on a house, or investing for retirement. Your long-term goals get pushed further and further away. On top of that, high credit card debt makes it much harder to qualify for other important loans. Want to buy a car? Get a mortgage? Even renting an apartment can be more difficult because landlords often check your credit. Your financial options shrink, and you lose the freedom to make choices that could improve your life. It's a cycle where debt keeps you from building the very wealth you need to get out of debt. So, how do you know if you're heading for trouble? There are some clear warning signs. A big one is when you start using credit cards to pay for everyday necessities like groceries or gas because you don't have enough cash. That's a red flag that your expenses are higher than your income. Another sign is juggling multiple cards, using one to pay off another. This is often called the credit card shuffle, and it's a sign you're just moving debt around, not actually paying it down. And of course, if you're only able to pay the minimum amount due each month, you are definitely in the danger zone. That's the slowest, most expensive way to pay off your balance. If you see these signs in your own finances, it's time to take action before the situation gets worse. Now for the good news, you can absolutely escape credit card debt and avoid it in the future. The first step is to get real about your spending. You need to track every single dollar. Use an app, a spreadsheet, whatever works for you, but you have to know where your money is going. Once you see the full picture, you can create a realistic budget and find areas to cut back. The next crucial step is to pay more than the minimum payment, always. Even an extra $20 or $50 a month can make a huge difference in how quickly you pay off the debt and how much interest you save. While you're doing this, it's essential to stop adding new debt. Put the credit cards away. Some people literally freeze them in a block of ice to resist temptation. There are two popular strategies for tackling multiple card balances. The first is the debt snowball method. You list your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rates. You make minimum payments on all of them, but you throw every extra dollar you can at the smallest debt. Once that one is paid off, you take all the money you were paying on it and roll it over to the next smallest debt. This creates momentum and gives you quick psychological wins, which can be very motivating. The other strategy is the debt avalanche. With this method, you list your debts by interest rate from highest to lowest. You pay the minimum on all debts, but focus all your extra cash on the one with the highest interest rate. Mathematically, this method saves you the most money in interest over time. Which one is better? It depends on your personality. If you need quick wins to stay motivated, go with the snowball. If you're all about saving the most money, the avalanche is for you. The most important thing is to pick a method and stick with it. So, does this mean credit cards are evil and you should never use them? Not at all. The key is to use them smartly. The best habit you can develop is to treat your credit card like a debit card. This means you only charge what you can afford to pay off in full, right now. Don't think of it as extra money. Think of it as a convenient way to pay with money you already have. Make it a non-negotiable rule to pay your entire statement balance in full every single month before the due date. When you do this, you pay zero interest. You get all the convenience, the purchase protection, and the rewards without any of the downsides. And speaking of rewards, use them wisely. Don't let the promise of points or cashback trick you into overspending. A $500 TV that earns you $10 in cashback is not a good deal if you can't afford the TV in the first place. Rewards should be a nice bonus for your regular budgeted spending, not an excuse to spend more. Let's wrap this up. Credit cards themselves aren't the enemy. They're just a financial tool. But like any powerful tool, if you misuse them, they can be incredibly dangerous. The high interest rates and the minimum payment trap are designed to keep you in debt for as long as possible. The first and most important step toward financial health is awareness. You need to understand how this debt works and be honest with yourself about your spending habits. Breaking free from credit card debt isn't just about money. It's about reclaiming your peace of mind and your freedom. Building debt-free habits is the foundation for long-term financial success and gives you the power to build the life you truly want. Welcome back to our series on mastering your finances. Last time we talked about the basics of credit cards. Today, we're diving deeper into a topic that affects millions: the hidden dangers of credit card debt. Let's get started. So, why is credit card debt so common in the first place? Well, it's designed to be easy. Credit card companies make it incredibly simple to get approved. You get a card in the mail, often with a tempting credit limit, and suddenly you have access to funds you don't actually own. This creates a buy now, pay later mindset, which is powerful. You see something you want, and instead of saving for it, you just swipe the card. It feels painless in the moment. Add in the lure of rewards, cashback, travel points, special discounts, and it's easy to justify spending. The problem is, many of us aren't taught how to manage this properly. Without solid financial education, it's a slippery slope from convenient spending to overwhelming debt. One of the biggest traps is the high interest rate, often called the annual percentage rate, or APR. Credit card APRs are notoriously high, often ranging from 15% to 25% or even higher. Let's break down what that means. Unlike a car loan or a mortgage with a fixed lower rate, this interest compounds. That means each month, you're charged interest not just on your original balance, but on the interest that has already been added. It's a snowball effect, but not the good kind. If you only make the minimum payment, you're barely chipping away at the principal. Most of your payment is just feeding the interest, which is how a small purchase can balloon into a massive debt over time. This brings us to the minimum payment trap. It's probably the most deceptive feature of a credit card statement. You see that small minimum payment, maybe just $25 or $50, and think, great, I can handle that. But here's the harsh reality. Paying only the minimum is a one-way ticket to long-term debt. The credit card companies calculate that minimum to keep you paying for as long as possible. A huge chunk of that payment goes straight to interest, while only a tiny fraction reduces your actual balance. The statement might even show you that it will take you 10, 20, or even 30 years to pay off your balance if you only pay the minimum. It's designed to keep you in a cycle of debt, making them a lot of money in the process. Thanks for watching this deep dive into credit card debt. In our next video, we'll lay out a step-by-step action plan to pay off your debt for good. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of our series. See you then.